Alison, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to. Thank you so much, Alison, for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit with us and just give us a little insight into what you do at the FCA, because it's a shadowy organisation that very few of us understand. So, and I actually didn't even believe that we were going to get an opportunity to interview you on camera. So shadowy is the perception of the organisation. So thank you very much for taking the time out to sit with us and just give us a little insight, not only into the organisation FCA, but also you as a successful woman in the organisation, and also in relation to the Young Black Business Awards, because for us, it's a real honour to have you as a judge.
Thank you.
And a supporting individual as far as this new initiative is concerned. So let me just start by asking you to just tell us a little bit about you, Alison, in the organisation, in your role.
Yeah. Well, you started with, what is the Financial Conduct Authority? It's a good thing we changed our name, because we were the Financial Services Authority.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the Food Standards Agency.
Yeah.
So if we were a bit shady, it was probably because we had a conflicting name. But, so for me, I'm a black woman, as you know, sat right here in front of you. You can see that, see that. I've worked in this organisation for about coming up 20 years now, and its predecessor organisation, as I said, the FSA.
Yeah.
I've done a number of different things while I've been here, moved through the organisation, started on the first rung as an administrator back in 1998, and essentially moved through the ranks. And as I moved through, doing what I like doing best, which is problem solving. And I was fortunate enough that every time I wanted to problem solve, it came with a different title, a different set of responsibilities, and led to
You woke
where I
up
am
one
now.
day.
Well, I wouldn't say I woke up one day and arrived here, because I don't think here was ever the destination when I started the journey. And I think one of the main reasons why I'm here in this role as a head of department is primarily for two reasons. One, I was a senior manager probably about, 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember coming into our old building in Canary Wharf, as was at the time, bumping into a friend of mine at the lift who said, "Oh, I'm leaving." I'm like, "When?" And it was a Wednesday, and she said, "Friday." I was like, "Okay, tell me a story. What happened?" And she talked about, some of the challenges that she faced moving on in her career, and essentially being told at that time, "Well, you're black, you're a woman, you got to work twice as hard." And I remember those words, they stuck in my head, because I remember those exact same words being said to me when I was an 11-year-old child by my headmistress, invariably in her office, for one of those many misdemeanors that, children used to get into, and being told, "You're black, you're a girl, you have to work twice as hard." And to be honest, I went home that night and I bawled my eyes out. My husband said, "What are you bawling for? What is this woman? You know her? You ever mention her before?" I was like, "No," but the reason why I cried is because, one, I was upset by her experience, but two, I was so mad. It was more the anger that I felt because, one, people are limiting you because of what you are, your skin colour, how you talk, or whatever else it might be, and they're setting that ceiling for you. And I thought, well, why is there a ceiling? There doesn't have to be a ceiling. Why are sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves. And I remember going in, a few days later, and I spoke to my boss, who had been encouraging me to move on, and said, you can do that. And I didn't believe that I could do it. And I said to him, "I'm going to be a head of department in a year."
Okay.
And The second thing that I set myself was anybody that needed support, encouragement, guidance, mentoring, coaching, sponsorship, whatever the official labels are, that I would make myself available to those people. It doesn't matter whether it's your gender, your race, or whatever. But if you wanted to progress, I'm happy to support in what way I can.
Are you in Africa at all?
I do have some firms within my portfolio.
Even up until last week, we've got some activities in Nigeria and so on at the moment, and every other conversation begins with corruption. Is it a perception, or do you think it is the case? Or my belief is that that you can't get more corrupt than the City of London in terms of cleaning money. It's been stated on record by politicians and so on and so forth. And yet, admittedly, yes, you do stumble across the odd flat stuffed full of money, in Lagos or wherever. But do you think that there's a major issue there, or is it all about the optics and how?
No, I don't think it's all about the optics, but financial crime is one of the key areas of focus for the FCA. We set out our focus every year in our business plan. We set out our priorities, of which ensuring that markets are clean and efficient and effective. We want people to have confidence in, transacting business in the UK. And in order to do that, we have to show that our markets operate with integrity. So financial crime is something, that reduces the integrity of a market or the reputation of a market. So therefore, it is very much something that we focus a lot of our resource, energy and attention on ensuring that, financial crime, that, the UK is not facilitating financial crime, and firms are not facilitating financial crime by having appropriate systems and controls in place.
Okay. Now, you spoke earlier about giving back and enabling. Are you actively involved in supporting women coming through initiatives that you're involved in?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's specifically targeted at women. I'm involved in sponsorship programs here. I often speak at the elevation events, for young women and men of all ethnicities. I'm actively involved in Spectrum, promoting the interests of BAME.
Actively involved in YBBA. Young Black Business
YBBA. We have some strong connections with the Black British Business Awards as well. So we're very much connected with them. So I do my bit. It's probably for others to judge how well or not I do that.
I call it tithing. You're doing your 10%.
I do my 10%. Yeah. I wish it was more than 10%. Yeah. The day job doesn't always make it more than 10%. Yeah. But I where I can support, I will always take the time to support because it's important.
Yeah. The Young Black Business Awards, and I don't want to talk too much about that in this interview because for me, this interview is more about you as a black woman in an organisation, a financial organisation, whether it be regulatory or otherwise, that's perceived as white. So that's really interesting. And too often, really talented, successful, real, genuine individuals like yourself are invisible to the individuals in our communities that would be inspired and motivated by knowing that you exist, and that's why with this interview so important. But the Young Black Business Awards is focused on tech, on the fourth industrial revolution, the Internet of Things, and so on. To what extent do you believe that will be important going forwards from the financial side of things? And we know that it's impacted the financial sector, I suppose, more so thus far than many of the other sectors, but I just wondered what your thoughts were about it.
Yeah, and I think that's true because when I even look at some of the things that my children are getting involved in school, learning how to code, writing programs, that even how they interact now. I've got a 13-year-old daughter and most of her life is spent on her iPhone, messaging with her friends and whatever. So it shows you that society is changing. How we even buy most of the things like a coffee and a sandwich, contactless payments. The world around us is changing, at a phenomenal rate. So I think it's hugely important that we gear up and get ready for the future, because it's going to be very different, tomorrow than it is from today. When just as I mentioned earlier, my aunt's coming in, my aunt and her friends, talking about when they first arrived here, working in, factories. A lot of this narrative was around, well, I worked at this factory and I didn't really like that one, so I moved to a different factory. We don't have that vernacular anymore. We talk, our jobs are more white-collar jobs. They're not blue-collar jobs anymore. But the changes that we are seeing are far more rapid than they have been probably over the last 50, 60 years. So I think it's hugely important. The FCA does quite a lot in that respect in terms of, our sandbox, our innovation hub, connecting.
Sandbox?
Yeah, sandbox. It does what
Sounds
it says.
like children playing.
Well, it is. It's a little bit like that. It does what it says on the tin in terms of people coming in to test ideas that will land in the financial services sector to see whether, it is in the interests of consumers, whether it has the right, ethics around it and all those sorts of things. And usually these are data-led type initiatives. People using blockchain technology, for example.
I was going to mention blockchain.
Yeah. robo-advice, DLT, all, distributed ledger technology, those things, that firms and not necessarily regulated firms can come in and test some of those ideas with the regulator to say, okay, is this going to be an activity that falls under your remit? How would this work in a regulated context?
People don't know it exists, sir. I heard about Sandbox the other day, and I was like, wow! If more of the guys and the young ladies out there really thinking about and having debates on WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, and all the rest about blockchain, more conspiratorial than anything else, knew about Sandbox, you'd have them downstairs probably playing trap music as well as while they're experimenting with it. Yeah. So that's interesting, because and is it possible to popularize that stuff? Is it the kind of